What is going on, my game design gurus, and welcome to the Level Design Lab. Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well, playing and or making the games that you love. My name is Max Pears and I'm the host of the Level Design Lobby. So thank you for very much joining me at the Level Design Lobby with this smooth jazz. Yeah, smooth jazz. I haven't said it in a while, so I thought I'd bring it back. Bring it on back. So this episode is the kind of monthly round-off of the Essential Reading, my bonus episode series, where I discuss some of the best stuff that I've read and watched throughout the month and share it with all you amazing gurus, building up this community and building up kind of the material that we all grow and learn from. So let's go through some of the things that I've thought were really cool and, you know, something that I thought was really interesting. I got a chance to, go through. And also, thank you. I had two people, Chris, I'm not going to attempt to say your last name again, sir, because we both know that I butchered it really badly last time. But Chris, you know who you are. You've been mentioned on the show previously. And also, I want to thank a beautiful man, named Ivan. So Ivan has been chatting to me as well. We've actually got something cool that's probably been released by the time this episode's come out. If not, it's an interview with me on a Portuguese magazine called Push Start, which is really cool. But both these amazing people have reached out to me and recommended a humble bundle for books, for game design books. I don't know. Hopefully, this will still be going on by the time this episode's been launched, but I could be wrong. So it will be a link, but if it is out of date, I do apologize. But thank you to you two for both recommending me this Humble Bundle book package, because I got that, and it actually contained one of the books I did in episode 3, if you guys remember that, the emotional design one. And it's got some amazing sort of game development books here that you can get for, you know, I put down $8. You can get up to 15, I believe. And just a couple that I am really interested in is the Warcraft Civilization. So breaking down kind of how, you know, the MMO World of Warcraft built up its own communities, how people became friends online, the sort of societies that went there, and even one of the most talked about bugs, I forgot what it's called. It wasn't something death, was it? Basically, there's a bug where once you left this dungeon, there was this spell which would slowly, if it got touched to you, would slowly damage you and then kill you, and it couldn't be cured. It only be cured once you left the arena. But the problem was, if you were a hunter and had a pet, the curse would still be on the pet even after you left. So this ended up spreading, and I think it touches on these sort of subjects. So it's really cool. It also has critical play, radical game design, which I'm really interested in reading on. The Art of Failure. I think about this will be a really interesting one. The Essay of the Pain of Playing Video Games, and there's a few others that come out there which I'm very, very much interested in to see what to take away from. So thank you to both of you for suggesting this to me, because I'm always interested in a good read. So thank you very much there. So now that we've got this cool Humble Bundle that hopefully you're all going to be checking out, let's get into the top few that I've enjoyed. So the first one is an article on Gamma Sutra called In It to Minute, which is talking about the design of one of the new games that released last month, which is called Minute, which looks like a really interesting one. It's one of the co-creators of Lambit and a few other designers who I believe have made this. Please correct me if I am wrong, but that's what I believe on. And it is it's got a really interesting design loop where you take on this character, and once you pick up this magical sword, you only have a minute to live, and basically you've got to solve this kind of mystery, 1 minute at a time, and try to do certain things within that minute. So it's a very interesting core loop, I guess, but it's only when you get the sword. So before you have the sword, you actually do get unlimited time, because your first quest, I believe, is to get the sword. I could be wrong. I haven't played the game yet. It is on my to-watch list and to pick up at some point. So this will be a very interesting one. And it's a great way because it breaks it down and it talks about kind of what their process was and how they came up with this and how to make sure that this minute kind of lifespan wasn't frustrating, and creating good jokes as well with interactions. So when you have interactions, because it's text interactions, it's not people talking, audio, sorry. So I think that's a very interesting one, and all this sort of things that they've done, and yeah, just building on it is just such an interesting one. And again, the loop is so crazy in a good way. So yeah, it's a really cool one. I really enjoyed this. They also mentioned how they try to reduce frustration for the players as well, and how does this actually encourage players to make more choices or reduce the amount of choices they make? So it's really interesting. Again, I think the core game loop is cool. I haven't had a chance to play the game though, but understanding the concepts and even seeing and deep diving on this, I think is a truly amazing, cool little thing we got here. So that's the first one. We're now going to go on to the second one. So this is the talk from GDC 18, which is From Concept to Console, a Horizon Zero Dawn Postmortem. And it's really talking about their process of how they went from the early stages. I think they talked briefly on the pitch phase, from going from receiving the pitch to the final end product that we are all playing now. So I think it's a really, really interesting one. I think it's always exciting to see this because, we're all aware of how games are made, very much so, but I think people don't realize how similar the process is for every game is. There is a lot of teamwork that comes into it. There's a lot of mistakes and wasted work and all this. And there's also a lot of great moments of camaraderie and times where everything clicks together really well. This is always interesting to me because I think each studio has their own way of working. And to see how each of us makes a game is great because we can learn and grow from one another. Obviously, I don't think any studio will ever sacrifice it to make it into a cookie cutter kind of way. Each studio brings their own flair to when it comes to making a game, which is obviously the most amazing thing about it. So yeah, I think this is really cool for anyone who, hasn't worked on a game from start to finish. There is a lot to take away from this, and some really cool stuff that you can learn from with it. So that will be the second recommendation. Let's move into the third one, and this is probably my favorite one of my recommendations of this, my Max's top pick, if you will. And this is How Do You Approach Writing Romance in Games? It's an article on Gamma Sutra. It was taken kind of it's different interviews, kind of a round table on designers who've worked on different types of games, from Mass Effects to Dating for Ghosts to Dream Daddy, No Man's Sky, and kind of a bit more on this. They talk about how to get romance going in video games. I think this is a very cool topic for a number of reasons. Games are constantly growing right now, and I don't mean just in how pretty games are. I mean, we can talk about God of War 4. Jesus Christ, does that look beautiful? But it's not just that in the fidelity of the graphics, but we're tackling much more meaningful topics now in video games. I know people can just point out, you still just run and gun. Yeah, there are games that do that, but there are also games who try to do things and explore emotions differently. And it interviews a number of people and a number of designers who've done relationships in games, but done it through different ways, in styles and genres and gameplay of games, and how they think it's important, whether it be how they write the character or how they actually use the mechanics to help tell the story of it. And it's a really interesting one, and I think it's really cool, and it's one that everyone should read, just because even if you never make a game with romance in it, or you're not involved in that section of the game creation, I think it's important, because how would you do it? Really, just for 3 seconds, you can pause this episode, probably a little bit longer, and just ask yourself now, before you read this, how would you try communicate romance to the player through a video game? Think about that. You might have an answer, you might not, and that's, again, equally fine. But it's an interesting one, so please do check this out. I tweeted this out if you follow me on Twitter, @MaxPez. You'll have seen that I already tweeted out this article because I do really enjoy it, and it was one of my top reads for sure. So do go check that out. Before we give away the final two of my recommendations, I do want to say if you haven't already, do check me out on Twitter. I have been doing some cool stuff, and a lot of people have been following me. It's because the style of tweets I've been doing, if you are into level design, I've been doing kind of these 2D drawings, just helping to show certain points that I think are important to players and to level designers, just sharing some tips that people have enjoyed and taken away from, and I think others have shared their opinions with me as well. So yeah, it's been really cool, and it's kind of more of a bite-sized design tip than what these episodes are. So if you haven't already, do go check me out on Twitter @MaxPairs. Now, continuing this, the fourth recommendation I have is by one of my favorite channels. You should already know, Extra Credits, and it's called Design Club Super Mario Bros. Level 1-1. And it's talking about how Super Mario, how this is one of the most famous level designs ever, to be honest. I guess it was really one of the founding moments and pillars, I guess, of actual level design in this. And they're not the only ones who've talked about this level. There's been many. I think Eurogamer did a sit down with Miyamoto and one of the other designers when Mario Builder came out, and they broke down how this came about. But you see the Extra Credit staff break down the level and some of the key parts of this level. I think it's really important for us to understand the history of this level as well, and understand the history of all levels, because not every level is no level is perfect, let's be honest. And I think it's important because we can learn some good and some bad stuff from every level. And it's really nice to see an in-depth breakdown of, again, one of the kind of flagship times this happened. So yeah, it's really cool. I really enjoyed this one. So do check that out. And now for the final one. This is a really interesting one. It's a new channel that I've kind of just recently subscribed to. It's by Pure Design Solutions. I really hope I've pronounced that name correctly. As we all know, I'm really bad with names, and I feel I'm getting worse with each episode. And it's called Common Stealth Level Design Mistakes. And it is by a design director at Ubisoft who has worked on Splinter Cell, and basically chatting about some of the designs they've done. Some of the design mistakes they see when people are creating a stealth level. And he breaks down sort of the history of his career on, how he's learned about it, and also how to combat these mistakes. So it's really cool. I think it has some great stuff. It's got a nice visual style as well to it, which is really nice. And yeah, I think it's great. And I think also with the fact that he's a very experienced designer as well, it's great to see, because he's not just talking about theory. He's actually got the actual practice behind it. He's understood what's happened right and wrong. So really do check that out. It's only about 15 minutes long with a nice, visual style on YouTube. So it's great. So go subscribe to that channel as well. So there we have it. All of my 5 of this month for my essential reading list. So thank you all very much for checking out the episode. I hope you have enjoyed it, because it's really cool stuff out there. And as I said, this is about building a community where we share great stuff with one another. So if you do have stuff to share with me, please do share it with me. Either send it over to Twitter @MaxPairs or email me leveldesignlobby@gmail.com. And thank you all very much. I hope you have enjoyed this. And yeah. I would also like to ask, a big request is to help support me on Patreon. Last week I did an announcement episode that the Level Design Lobby has launched a Patreon. I'm really excited about this. The Patreon is to help me make better content. So if you are enjoying the episodes as well as my tweets and everything else, then please do head over to my Patreon, patreon.com/Level Design Lobby. There'll be a link in the description below, and you'll be able to see, when you do help, the perks that you'll gain with this, because there's some really nice things which I think you'll all enjoy there. Thank you all very much, and I'll see you all next time.